Alrighty, 5-9 gamers, we are back for another Dokkan tier list. It's your favorite series over here on 5-9 Gaming. Of course, joined with Galeriot. Go ahead and say hey.
We're here to ruin another tier list. Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing today?
Yes. So, for this tier list, we kind of reflected back on, I guess the series as a whole. So, we already have our list ready to go. We're not just doing it on the fly type thing. So let's start out. We're going to place all of the units we would have in D tier. Now, how we're ranking these units are, how do they work on the team? Do they have a good passive for the team? Are they good support? Stuff like that. Like, just how do they generally work? So, one of the first and worst units we have on the team is, unfortunately, that Videl from the movie. Next, we have Fasha. Gradient Fasha is just not very good.
They need their EZAs desperately. Speaking of EZAs,
right? No, that's Pandel.
No,
Pandel,
that's Bopan.
Right? No.
Bopan. In the int one
Pandel
is Pandel.
Yeah. Tech Toa is also not good. She requires a full extreme team, and none of your leaders are extreme. So
unfortunately,
you're not getting that off.
We will say though. We will say though. Yeah, we will say about Toa there are extreme options on this team. It's just that you're never running a full extreme team in this team, sadly.
Yeah. And not to say again, these units are bad outside of this team. It's only on Peppy Gals, how they work on Peppy Gals. So
exactly,
these are our D tier options, and so the worst of the worst we have. Now let's actually rank our S plus, and of course, it really should be no surprise who a couple of the units in S plus are going to be. Don't need to spend too long on them. Now, here's where people may disagree.
Yes.
But the S tier Kale and Tech Kefla are such a dominant rotation that as a rotation, we feel they're completely S plus. They're untouchable. They stack. They share pretty much every link. They only require Kale and or Kefla beside them, which, well, you run them together, and doesn't really matter what team you put them on. Pure Saiyan, Peppy Gal, Universal Survival Saga. They're one of the best rotations you can run.
Yeah, and not to mention there are other alternatives if you don't have one or the other. Say if you have Kale, you can obviously run the HGL Kefla. Obviously, Kefla herself doesn't have an alternative because the only alternative is the int free-to-play one. But there are alternatives, and there will be alternatives coming out in the future, of course. So, yeah, like Trocho said, an unbelievable duo, easy to obtain because they're unfeatured. Well, somewhat easy to obtain, but yeah.
Next, we have the Tech Android 18, which should be pretty self-explanatory. She's like absurdly broken on pretty much anything. And then for final S plus unit, this is one that I expect a lot of people to disagree with and a lot of people to probably agree with, is in Ribrianne.
Yep.
She, for the longest time, was debatably like the best TUR in the game, but unfortunately limited just to Peppy Gal. So she was kind of like the original Videl type thing, where if she was any other unit that worked, her passive was Pure Saiyan, best unit in the game type thing.
Yeah.
So I feel comfortable having her S plus. I could see her dropping to S, but I think S plus. She's one of the better leaders for the team. One of the two you're gonna run, and God tier support, debuffer, and all around just really useful for the team.
I will also say she is actually, I think if I'm not mistaken, she will be one of the more newer. She'll be the one of the next ones to get an easy out of the Peppy Gals list. Of course, we'll get the Chi-Chis out of the way, the Bullers and stuff like that, but she is probably closer than, say, Oceanus and Launch, for example. So once she gets her easy, she's still going to be a phenomenal unit.
Yeah. So hopefully she gets her easy soon. Now, going into C tier, these units that are still fine, but not my first choice for running on this team. So we have Tech Bulma. Now, Tech Zanya. She requires a space traveling warrior team, which you could actually build on this team because units like Ribrianne, Rosie, and Kukunsa are space traveling warriors, but it's still not the most impactful thing. Yeah. So she's gonna kind of hang out down here. And next we have Fasha, who...
Yeah, I'd also just like to add about Zanya is that, yes, there's obviously Ribrianne, Rosie, Kukunsa, but because of the more recent EZAs, it's going to be harder to implement them into the team as well. So it also kind of devalues Zanya just a teeny tiny bit because of that. But yeah, go on about Fasha, Trocho. Sorry about that.
Decent defensive unit and can dodge, but not too great outside of that. So C tier. In Kale, decent support unit, and that's about it.
Not necessarily really for this team either, unfortunately. as well, mind
Yeah,
you.
like you have Kale and Khalifa units, that's about it.
Yeah.
And then in my
Yeah.
Time Traveler.
Great when
support
she
unit.
came out. Great when she came out because she was basically a better version than the AGL one at the time. But again, the AGL one's obviously surpassed her in every way. She's become dated. Doesn't have anything going for her realistically outside of the stunning.
Yeah. Because she's a good support unit on Time Travelers, but you're not really getting that here. Uh, next up, we have in Android 18. You don't really need to change orbs on this team, like, ever. Everyone has key. I mean, except for, like, the tech Android 18, I guess you could change orbs for it, but rather have a tech
You have
loop
better
changer,
alternatives.
really.
You have better alternatives to that. Yes.
And then Giant Ribrianne, she's just kind of not great.
Yeah, she just
pretty-
exists, unfortunately. She's just there.
So that is our C tier. And then for our B tier, units that are, better, you could run, and it wouldn't be a detriment to your team, but there are still better options, we feel. We have these two Android 18s. I believe the one I just placed is actually kind of dependent on the Krillin, not a ton, but both Android 18s, the first one I believe requires a Future 17 for part of her
The
passive.
Battlefield
the
8,
second Android.
yeah, the Battlefield 18 doesn't require a Krillin. It requires a 17 or 16.
Oh, okay. So yeah, they both require a unit that you can't really get on the team, so not great. AGL Toa is an extreme support unit, which you still have. I mean, one of the units in S Plus is extreme, but that's pretty much all she has going for her. Is some extreme units are good, like Darkness Toa, Oceanus are good options, but not. She's a fine option. And then also another fine option is Tech Bella, who not the greatest defensively. She can get 60% chance to dodge, but if you disable dodging, kind of pointless.
That is true. Great support though still. But yeah, she just needs her easy, and she will be in the next batch probably to get an easy alongside STR Chi and Co. But hopefully, because if she does, she's probably up there with being one of the best units in this category, maybe even in the whole game, to be honest. Because I remember when she got her Dokkan Awakening, she was like everybody's team because of her support passive, right? So yeah, once she gets her easy, I think obviously things will be a lot different.
Yeah, great Saiyaman and Videl. I'm 99% sure they're not a force transformation. Can you actually double check that for me, Gale?
I'll check it out.
They should be an active skill, right? Yep. But assuming they are, you actually don't want to transform because they're a support unit for special pose before they do, and they share basically no links with the team after transformation, so don't transform them.
Yes, they are an exchange unit, by the way, so active skill.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, they're fine. Special pose support unit is not a bad option for this team, but not great.
Yeah. You do have special pose unit, by the way, in Ribrianne, Cocoons, and Rosie, but again, it's kind of like Zangya, but a slightly better because they're supporting and stuff like that. So yeah. Sorry, go ahead with the 18.
STR 18. She is solid, but that's about it. You want a future Android 17 to get, I believe, an additional super, so she can stack even faster. Aside from that, she stacks.
The thing is, yeah, she is a free-to-play unit, remember, lads, because the biggest thing about these things is like, oh, we say they stack, right? But these are free-to-play units with free-to-play stats, so they take a longer time in going up. It's evident by, stuff like the Tech Goku Gohan from Goku's family and stuff like that. So, great unit, but again, that additional super which she would have gotten with the 17, she can't get here, which hurts her a little bit.
Next, we have this Android 18, who is good-ish on androids, but you need a lot of androids around, and you're probably really only going to be running one on this team with the tech one, and then her, so 2 total. If you're running her, not a bad option, but definitely not one I'd really want to do.
I kind of disagreed with Trocho here, and we had a bit of a back and forth. I still feel she's fantastic. Plus, especially because, like I mentioned, he Obviously mentions, of course, there's the tech one, and then we'll be running her. But I also feel like you could run the Android 21 at some point, especially if she gets her EZA. And then on top of that, if you want to, you could still run an additional Android 18 in the STR1 and keep this one as a floater, not touching with any other Android. So you can run at least a minimum of around 3 to 4 Androids, which isn't the most, but it's still enough. But I still think I can kind of agree. I see where Trocho comes from, and I think because of that, B is completely fine for her.
Yeah, I feel like it's a Zonga situation where, yeah, you could run Space Traveling Warriors, or you could run just better units you probably
Exactly.
also have.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, I guess, my issue is
Yeah.
running her, you're kind of almost limiting yourself.
Yeah. No, I completely agree.
But that's our A tier. I mean, I could see the argument for A or B. So, we'll just leave her here and chat. You guys decide where you'd want to put her, unless you guys want to put her S plus, which no. But anyways, A tier. I'm just gonna place these two right next to each other, Kakunsa and Rosie.
Yep.
They are very similar.
Yep.
They both are easy, and actually, I'm just gonna go ahead and actually place all three of them, just because they're all not the same unit, but they're all meant to really work together. I believe they're all support units, or I don't think Ribrianne is, but Kakunsa and Rosie are support units. They are either stacking attack or stacking defense, as well as infinitely in their passive. If they're stacking attack on super, they stack defense in their passive permanently, and vice versa. And then Ribrianne is just pretty solid. Good batch of EZA units. Not really much to say.
I know
they're just
a lot of people
good.
would say that maybe push them to S, but yet again, free-to-play stats, that kind of harms them, sadly. It takes a long time for them to get going, because especially, like we mentioned, Rosie Kakunsa, they stack as well. But it's the same situation as the Android 18 that we mentioned, the future one, but except they're better because they actually fit on the team. They don't need a 17, they just need each other, which is present on the team. But we think A is good enough for them.
Yeah. And once you do get to S, hopefully you guys see why we're not putting them there, because S is filled with a lot of really, really powerful units. But finishing off A, we have this Tech Android 18, who you could run along with this Android 18 to kind of give her more orbs, but she doesn't really actually need a ton of orbs. She's just really solid overall. But yeah, Tech and Android 18 kind of needs an EZA, but she's still pretty solid.
Agreed.
Where is the next unit on list? Here we are. Darkness Toa. She is a everyone support unit, thankfully.
Yeah.
So
a bit of an upgrade, which
like
is good.
Aegil Toa, but yeah, just upgraded. She does have an extreme specific thing under, I believe, 50% HP or something like that. You're not really going to see it. This team is a bit too defensive for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a better bra, essentially. Because she is attack and defense, so and key, which you don't actually really need, but it's nice.
Yeah, I think there can be an argument for her as well to go to S, but I think A is good because of what, again, like we said.
If we had an extreme leader,
well, the thing is,
build a more extreme focus team.
The thing is, even with that, the only real advantage she gets is, of course, that extreme class allies 50 attack and defense when below 50% HP. Outside of that, everything else is applicable in this situation, so yeah. SGR Kefla, yes, go for it.
Yes. Pretty much on par, if not slightly better than the Aegil Kefla before EZA. So that was just pretty solid, free-to-play unit matching a summonable unit, and for the most part. After EZA, the Aegil one is definitely a lot better, but SGR Kefla isn't bad. Can you quickly read off what she does while I place the next unit? Because I actually kind of forget.
Just go no momento. Yes,
next unit is SGR 21. She's just good.
Yep.
She has, I believe, 80% attack and defense, or like 100, and she transforms, and it gets more. She's healing.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, no, the STR 18 is really good. It's just unfortunate, like, once again, she needs her EZA. A lot of these A tier units / B tier units, once they get their EZAs, I think they can easily jump into the S rank, kind of like what happened to the existing EZAs. They were pretty much at the C tier, B tier, some of them, but once they got their EZAs, they're shot up to S tier, which kind of spoiled there, but we'll get onto them in a second. But yeah, the Kefla just gets attack and defense up to 80% and chance of evading enemies attack 15% up per USS category ally on the team, which again you kind of can get here with a lot of the LR Kale and Kefla's, Kefla herself, the Kales of course, and so on and so forth. So yeah, it's not impossible to get that STR Kefla's ability off.
Then we have couple of the not EZA units yet. So S tier Chi-Chi, and then we have, where is the other unit that I want to bring? Oh, yeah, Physical Chi-Chi. So I was just going to place them together. Physical Chi-Chi is actually pretty good for a World Tournament unit. She fits decently well. Good attack, good defense. And then S tier Chi-Chi is a really, really good defensive support unit. But this team doesn't really actually need it.
Not for the time being, no. I do believe, like, I mean, it'll help out tremendously. But the biggest thing with her support, quote unquote, is that obviously she only has start of turn attack, and then the support is like the additional defense she gets because it's all allies keep +3 120 defense, right? The biggest thing is that for herself, she kind of needs to get that extra bolster. So once she gets her EZA and they pump it up to say 150 attack, 150 defense, or something like that, she'll be a lot better. And then, of course, adding on to her passive as well because she kind of needs it.
Because, like, that 120% defense is really useful, but this team is so defensive already. You're like, it's not really actually that crazy.
It's not an immediate requirement, no. In the future, obviously, if once they start, Dokkan, they'll start adding more stuff with artificial difficulty, making events tougher than they already need to be, and then you're going to need more defense. So maybe in the future, not right now though.
And then for our final A tier unit, Physical Kefla. Again, she's pretty solid still, but she's definitely aging out pretty fast. After her EZA, I'm sure she'll actually probably be S+, but until then, you could run her. She would still put up decent numbers, but
she'll link well as well with especially the U6 girls that are already in this team. So yeah, that's the beauty of her, more so.
Yes. And then, as expected, all the remaining units are what we have for our S tier. So AGL Kefla, AGL Mai. I mean, all these new EZAs, I mean, are pretty self-explanatory for why we put them there. They're all incredible, very, very powerful. New Koei, she's just really good. All these units we feel are a step above everything in A tier, especially, B tier and whatnot. Physical launch, still, I believe she has, guaranteed, crits or something. Not guaranteed crits, but, high chance to crit additional. She's doing all her shenanigans, very powerful. Oceanus, I mean, if you have ever seen her, you would know why she is there. Yep. Honestly, Oceanus is a unit I could feel could probably be bumped up to S+. S tier Kefla, Dokkan Fest, good all around.
Yes.
And then a unit that initially we had an A, but some people in our Dokkan department were like, they could go to S.
Yeah.
I could see either for that 18. She doesn't need Krillin or Goten or Trunks, one of the 3 units, or I think it's Goten and Trunks.
Yeah. It's
a bit of a passive.
It's Goten, Trunks, and that's about it. I think Krillin is also there. Yes, you have Krillin as well as an option.
Yeah. But that's pretty much our Peppy Gals tier list. Everything in S and S+. I don't think we need to spend too long explaining why we put them there. Hoping most people, especially the new EZAs, are pretty familiar with what they do. But Gail, would you like to go ahead and just talk about the list as a whole?
No, I think it's fine. I think I completely agree with most of the positions. Again, I think the only one I'd very much argue on, and I was the one advocating for... Initially, I was like, maybe the 18 should be an S, but then, Trocho and I discussed it, and I just feel the 18 is better off in A, actually, to be honest, personally, the Bio Broly one. Just think that she needs a little bit... Yes, it's not required. She's really good without her, without them. Sorry, I should say attack and defense 100%. Raises attack and defense for 6 turns as well. But I feel that especially at the start of the, especially if you're taking Peppy Gals into SBR and stuff, you want to get going immediately. And having that 18% damage reduction and all allies keep +3 attack and defense 30%, and, not being able to use that, especially because you don't have a Trunks, Goten, or Krillin on the Peppy Gals team, can be a bit wonky in my opinion. But alas, I mean, we were kind of outvoted on that one. But outside of that, I will say I think I completely agree with the rest of the list.
Alright, perfect. So, it's Peppy Gals tier list. Rip us apart in the comments if you must, like normal, unfortunately, sadly. But we feel pretty confident in this one because we did actually take a good amount of time, thought about every unit's placement. But yeah, let's going to wrap it up for this week's tier list. We'll be back next Sunday with another thing on something. Maybe if we got a unit this week that buffs a category or whatever. I don't know. But yeah. Any closing thoughts, Gil?
No, nothing. Yeah, like Trocho said, we'll be back. Hopefully, we'll get some news, I think, this week as well. By the time this goes up, I think we'll probably start getting some V-Jump leaks and, countdown stuff. So we might be on that side of things for the time being as we lead into worldwide celebration. So, or as it's called now, the 350 million download celebration. So yeah, hopefully you guys are tuning in for that. Super excited for it.
Alrighty. Sounds good. This video is actually going up today, so no VGIF links probably.
Well, it'll be tomorrow.
It's
if it's going up today, then well, technically it's all 15. So tomorrow, day after tomorrow.
It's going up in like 5 hours.
So yeah, we will be doing it. That's what I meant. We will be covering it in the next couple of days. So be on the lookout for it.
Oh yeah, but VJump leaks will not be up by the time this video is out, though.
Oh yeah, no. Don't look forward to VJump leaks if you're thinking it's out already. No. No way.
Yeah. Good old Gil confusing our chat, or maybe just me. I don't know, one of the two. Anyways. It's gonna wrap it up here. Hope you guys did enjoy. We'll catch you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.